Hello and welcome. I'm sure you saw the thumbnail and I'm sure some of you have no idea what that means. Well, allow me to explain. A while ago I made a theory video based on how Chainsaw Man's power system worked, hypothesizing that devils were put into tiers of a sort, with broader fears like control and war were influenced by the devils which were on a lower tier, like bomb or puppet, such as if one of the devils which fell under their umbrella was to be eaten, they too would be weakened, because they didn't have access to that part of their fear anymore. And lo and behold, in the first chapter of Chainsaw Man Part 2, I'm proven to be absolutely right with how War wants to force Chainsaw Man to puke up nuclear weapons. Because the way I see it, that's the only reason why they would ever want to bring back such a devil. After all, once a devil is killed or in this case consumed, we assume that they take on a new form, a new personality, so war having any sort of personal lingering connection to the nuclear devil is unlikely. But this wouldn't be much of a video if I just bragged about being right the whole time. Instead, I'd like to use this as a springboard for discussing the implications of what War said, puking nuclear weapons back into existence. So first things first, let's revise what we know about those devils consumed by Chainsaw Man. First off, they are erased from the memories of at the very least humans. In a lot of cases that seems to be true for devils as well. However, we have been shown to exclusions to that rule so far in the form of Makima and War, the former however admitting that her own memories of the devils consumed were fading and instead remembered just their fight with Chainsaw Man specifically. We do not know to what extent War remembers the other devils. Perhaps it only remembers nuclear weapons because that was once a part of it, in the sense it could make use of nuclear weapons using its ability. We also know that the instrument of that fear, the thing it originates from, is also erased, otherwise the devil would just respawn under a different name and there would be no need for War to force Chainsaw Man to bring back nuclear. The next 2 points are rather contentious, but from the way I understand it, when a devil is consumed, it goes beyond them just being removed from memory and their immediate source of fear vanishing. Rather, it seems like history itself is rewritten by the power of the Chainsaw Man, as even huge events like World War II have been erased, and if there was any evidence of that occurring still surviving, it would create a paradox, where a war happened but no one remembers it beginning, or ending, and for what reason. There wasn't a true trigger because Chainsaw Man erased it. So Chainsaw Man has the ability to rewrite history by consuming a devil. This is the basics of how his ability seems to work. With that baseline, we can work on figuring out the possible ramifications it would have bring a devil back from Chainsaw Man's stomach. Starting off, immediately there would be a rush of information into the heads of every devil in existence potentially, as well as a majority of mankind. The devil puked back up would bring with it all the possible information that originally exited about the thing that devil represents back into the mind of the people, causing potential conflicting information to form within their minds. It might even result in information overload for some, as they have to deal with learning an entire new subject area for their chosen line of work. Then there is the fact that possibly everyone who learned any sort of fundamentals in school might have to relearn them, because the way the world works now after this incident has fundamentally changed. Overall, the amount of information displaced would vary greatly depending on the scope the devil had before its consumption. The second implication that comes from this event would be the spontaneous generations of that which the devil originates. For instance, the nuclear weapons devil being brought back would result in nuclear weapons appearing all around the world, under the control of various governments, owing to the fact that the devil has the capability to create what it is supposed to represent. It would be as if the devil never stopped exiting in the first place, thus the nuclear weapons would have always been in circulation. In fact, them coming back into existence wouldn't just affect the human world, but also hell. Hell would now have to deal with the fact a potentially terrifying powerful devil is back in circulation, meaning that any semblance of power balance in hell would get thrown off. On top of that, the level of fear that would be generated for war specifically would be immense, as a major deterrent to war is the fear of nuclear annihilation on both sides, so if nuclear weapons come back, the fear of all-out war will go through the roof. And of course let us not forget that, if something comes back out of Chainsaw Man's stomach, it's liable to alter history as we know it, or at least how the people in Chainsaw Man's world knows it. Nuclear weapons would suddenly have been a part of their history, everything they know might change, people might not even exist. It's as if an entirely new timeline was created by rubbing over the previous one. Certain devils might not even exist. The level of alteration which comes from what might at first seem like a relatively insignificant thing could be huge. The entire story could potentially be different depending on what devils get pulled out of Chainsaw Man's stomach. After all, there used to be alternatives to death that no longer exist because Chainsaw Man ate them. So if that's the case, depending on what might happen, death might not actually be such a big deal in this universe. Of course this isn't likely to happen, since it would become too different from the story's original premise. And on top of that, currently we only know of one individual actively seeking to pull something from Chainsaw Man's stomach. Honestly, the possible havoc that could be caused by even an insignificant devil being pulled from Chainsaw Man's stomach might have on the universe as it currently is, would be massive. We could be dealing with fundamental changes to the way life and death work, all the way down to the simple fact that a new vegetable has always existed, which brings with it a whole host of problems. But that's all I had for this video. I'd rather not just rant at you for half an hour about potential implications when we are possibly going to see what will actually happen some point in this arc of the story. All the same, tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your own implications for devils being able to come back from Chainsaw Man's stomach. I've been the Anonymous Weeb, and I wish you a good day or night wherever you are. Oh, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell and all that. I'll see you next time.